34. From now on. Natalie loved listening to her mother read the article from the Oakland newspaper. There were more interviews, too. 3 other reporters called, and one came out to the house. One evening, a television spot in the barn with lights set up and cables running all over the place. The goats went nuts with excitement. Meredith came and was climbing over. Meredith said they were climbing over one another to watch. "You are truly an amazing person," said the reporter. The reporter gushed to Natalie. "Loading that gun and delivering goats, even though you're blind." "No," Natalie protested, almost laughing. "No, I'm not an amazing person. Please don't write that. I'm a girl who grew up on a goat farm, and I know about guns because I once hunted with my father. It just so happens I am blind, too." Natalie turned to where she knew Meredith stood beside her. Meredith is the one who's amazing because she had never fired a shotgun before. Behind both of them stood Natalie's father,
Alert, low battery.
who had a hand on each of their shoulders. "I couldn't be more proud of these girls." Part of Natalie was actually sad for the bear, which turned out to have had rabies. It was just a living creature, she thought, would happen to be sick. But the shooting and the births and the life and death at the same time had marked a turning point for her. She knew that if she could do what she had to do that night, she could do just about anything. But no more deals with God, she decided, as she rode the bus back to school in Baltimore. On a frigid Sunday afternoon in mid-January. From now on, she would put aside the anger, the doubt, and all the regret and just try to move forward. Good memories from her extended holiday break kept her warm on the cold, bumpy ride back to Baltimore. The time spent with Meredith at the mall, picking out fuzzy socks and earrings, and a new friend, a furry, one-eared cat she had named Oliver, for Oliver Twist, the Charles Dickens character who had lived through hard times. Not to mention the 3 kids which Natalie's mother had said looked just like nuisance. Natalie named the 2 little does Hunky and Dory, and called the feisty young buck Mr. Lee. And then, of course, she recalled with a moment spent with Jake in her own living room, talking about school and what she had yet to learn, and how they might finally be together again on the student council. Perhaps as early as next year, but probably not until senior year. But I think we ought to get together this summer to start planning, he told Natalie. He touched her hand again, only this time he held it for a moment and even played with her pearl ring. Natalie's heart beat double time. As soon as I learn Jaws, I'll email, she promised. Natalie felt on the bus seat beside her to be sure she had her new cane already identified with the whistle from her old cane. She touched her backpack too. There was a small refrigerated pack of goat cheese for Arnab and a tin of chocolate chip cookies she had made to share in the dorms. There was her completed essay on gun control, which she had carefully brailled out, and attached to the essay a newspaper clipping. Also in her backpack was a note from Miss Audra with a date on it, a date for when they would visit the Baltimore City Jail to try to make a voice identification for the two men who had attacked Natalie and Bree. Miss Audra said that in addition to the assault, there was now talk of charging the men of murder. There would be no punishment from the school for leaving the campus without permission. Natalie had suffered enough, they said. The only apprehension Natalie had about returning to school was moving into a room that would be more empty without Bree. Of course, that was not the only empty spot Bree had left behind. The thing was, if you wanted to survive, you had to keep going, Natalie had decided. Even when it hurt. Sometimes she had discovered it. Sometimes she discovered you had to walk around the holes in your life instead of falling into them. By late April, the sun had melted. The last stubborn patches of ice and snow in the western Maryland. The snowy, warming land yielded a host of sensory pleasures, including a new symphony of birds, songs, and the earthy smell of freshly sprouted plants and soft mud. The sun's warm rays were welcome in the clear, crisp mountain air. I think it's great that you're taking time out. Out of your spring break for a tour.
Reminders, now, go outside, today, 12 p.m., time sensitive.
For a tour of the university, Professor Brodsky said. It's hard to start looking at colleges your sophomore year in high school when the pressure is off. Before you leave, Natalie, be sure I give you that paperwork and the internship next year, okay? And he rubbed his hands together. All right, then. I've got 2 college students here, Nathan and Jillian, who will help out this morning. I thought we'd tour Frostburg's library first, and then visit the classrooms, the dining hall, and then finally the dorms. Do you guys have any questions? Not yet, said Serena. But I'm staying at Natalie's farm for the rest of the week. We're going to learn how to make cheese. Yes. Yeah. How cool is that? But if we come up with any questions, can we email? Of course, the professor replied. Actually, do have one question, Natalie said. Do we still call you professor even though you're a state senator now? He laughed. Professor is fine. Eve raised her hand to ask something too. I wondered if in the dorms, can 3 people room together? I'm in a triple now. Jillian, the tour guide, told them. If you ask me, we've more space than in a double. Some accommodations can be made, the professor said, because we are holding this time. We will work it out. Hope, yes, Natalie thought to herself. There was always hope, wasn't there? Only now she realized she didn't need a stone in her pocket to have it. She would never stop hoping for her sight to return. Who knew what scientific research might uncover for the blind? In the meantime, Natalie kept reminding herself, unless you want to fold up and die. Go home to live scared. You simply keep going in a forward direction. Life could still be good. Very good. Professor Brodsky was waiting and holding the door open. Well, he said, let's get started. The end.